This lecture is dedicated to Mause Oliver Baka-Vomawo, another junior brother of mine, for all his work in trying to #fix the country and to reform our constitution. It is also dedicated to my big brother Akuto Ampao and Justice Sremsai, another junior brother of mine, and all the other lawyers and activists who are working around the clock to secure his release from unlawful detention. I visited Mause in jail some 2 weeks ago, and the conditions under which he was being held are not fit even for your worst enemy. But for this lecture, I would have joined the legal team in court today. It is no coincidence that his first court visit was on the 14th of February, Valentine's Day. And his next court visit today is the anniversary of the 28th February 1948 shooting. We live in a spiritual world. Like the psalmist says, the fool says unto himself, there is no God. Sometimes God speaks to us by timing events, rolling the cosmos and the elements and our actions to coincide with particular times and seasons in order to give us a message. Those who have spiritual ears, let them hear. Let me end this part of my speech here before I am arrested or before they send the tax authorities to come and find fault with my law firm by force. Introduction. When I am introduced as the Dean of the University of Ghana School of Law, it makes it extremely difficult for me to speak the naked truth. As you all know, we all live a lie. No one speaks the truth. We all say what we are permitted to say or what we deem fit to say at each point in time and depending on our circumstances. So right now, what constrains me are my membership of the General Legal Council and my deanship of the University of Ghana School of Law. And so I would like to respectfully demand of you to imagine what I would have said if these two constraints were not upon my shoulders. I love my Vice Chancellor very much. And the last thing I would like is for her to call me in the early morning and ask, quote, Dean, what have you gone to say? Unquote. Worse still, I am dreading the words of my dear wife when I get home today and she says, quote, Akumbi, what have you gone to say again? Akumbi, a shortened version of my local, authentic spiritual name, is what she calls me when I am in trouble. I am sure the men here can relate. My uncle Sam Jonah said recently, quote, it appears to me that in recent times, our fourth Republican dispensation, the courage to stand up for the truth and the determination to uphold the common good is lost. In our dark moments as a nation, it is concerning that the voices of the intellectuals are receding into oblivion. Sadly, it is a consequence of the deep partisan polarization of our country, such that everything is seen through the lenses of politics. It appears to me that the culture of silence has returned, this time not enforced by legal and military power, but through convenience, parochialism, hypocrisy, and a lack of conviction. Where are the Adubuahins and PV answers? Unquote. So, Uncle Sam Jonah, receive the below as a feeble attempt at partial redemption of academia. We wait for the clergy, the CSOs, the media, labor unions, and others who were so vociferous in condemning the past regime to redeem themselves. Down memory lane. I was conceived in a village called Nalerugu, near Gambaga, some 35 miles from Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia's hometown. At that time, we still retained in Ghana the traditional home science and knowledge with which to determine exactly when a prospective mother would bear the child. The science of traditional birth attending was fast being eroded. So a few days to the birth, my mother traveled to Bolgatanga, where her brother was a nurse, in order to receive higher than average medical attention during the birth. Soon after my birth, we returned to Nalerugu. Where I lived the very first several years of my childhood. I was born on the 1st of April, April Fool's Day. So forgive me when I say some foolish things during this lecture. It's the April Fool's thing working. Somehow, I carry very distinct memories of my complicated childhood. One of such memories is the regular visitations of the military MOWACs and trucks in the immediate aftermath of the 1979 coup. In the village, there were mechanisms of communication that appeared more effective than the mobile phone in speed and reach. And so, we will hear about the soldiers and that they were on their way well before they got to our home. My mother sold everything. One of the distinct memories I have is when she was arrested for selling pencils, I believe, above control price. By that time, my father had been transferred from Nalerugu to Boku and then to Damangu. Dr. Abu Sakara knows very well. The village where President John Dramani Mahama was born. Back to Nalerugu, near Vice President Baume's hometown. We always had a pre-dark, deep trench at the back of the house. And when word reached us that the soldiers were on their way, we would drape large sheets of plastic or cloth over the trench, fill it up with all my mother's wares, cover them up with the ends of the plastic or the cloth that stretched over the top of the trench, and cover the trench with earth, and then with anything that would obscure it. When there was time, we would then sweep the whole compound, including over the trench, so that it all looked evenly swept and undetectable. And so that the many footprints of the hiders of the wares will be erased, leaving only the even footprints of the sweepers across the entire parched earth of the compound. Many times, my mother would meet the soldiers across the compound before they walked up to our home, or sometimes before they got out of their vehicles. Often, she would succeed in turning them away with a combination of native wisdom, wit, and humor. Sometimes it helped that she was the wife of the first headmaster of the new secondary school in the village. Sometimes it attracted undue attention, suspicion, targeting, hatred, and reprisals. In those days, anyone with post was guilty until proven innocent. And the names of the offenses were hilarious: economic sabotage, engaging in acts calculated to cause disaffection for the revolution, government indiscipline. A few years later, when we lived in Boku, and after the 1981 coup, our family was targeted in this way. I still recall the morning our home was attacked and ransacked. Everything was carried away. We moved to stay with a distant relative farther from town. My father was put before a public tribunal and charged with offenses whose names I am unable to recall now. Throughout the period of his trial, he was without a job, without a salary, and in constant fear of his life and the lives of members of his family. When we relocated at night on various occasions, he carried a sharpened cutlass with him. The entire family had to live on the back of my heavily pregnant mother and subsequently nursing mother throughout this period. I have recounted before how my father was made to account for his stewardship of the school he headed. How he accounted for all of it but for one shovel, one pickaxe, and 4 pesewas. How the shovel and pickaxe were later retrieved at the building site, and how he refused to plead guilty to misappropriating 4 pesewas, and how the receipts of the 4 pesewas were later found. After he was found not guilty, he was restored to his post, paid his emoluments, and promoted. Others were not that lucky. Many Ghanaians who were not able to beat the system the way my mother did, or successfully fight the system the way my father did, were mistreated, beaten, even killed. We do not want a coup in this country. Yet I fear that if we do not act quickly, we may have one in our hands very soon. A former colleague, doctoral student at Harvard, wrote his dissertation also on Ghana. He now teaches at a war college in the US. Imagine the name of the college, War College. Whilst my topic was on the Ghana police, his topic was on the Ghana military. Naturally, our paths intersected, and we have remained friends since. My friend's PhD thesis was on the topic, quote, why certain coups succeed and why others fail. His case study was Ghana. My current assessment that Ghana may be ripe for a coup partly springs from the knowledge I gained from accompanying my friend through part of his doctoral research on this topic. It does not help matters if we consider Samuel Huntington's thesis on the snowballing effect of coups in the sub-region and the closeness of recent coups to whom. I urge my good friend, the Minister of National Security, Honorable Kandapa, to have a conversation with my friend at the War College. The economy of Ghana today. A big part of why certain coups succeed and others fail is the economy. What is the state of Ghana's economy today? At the level of the most irreducible idiomaticity, Ghana is broke. Your nation is radically broke. So broke, the Speaker of Parliament has publicly warned, gavel in hand, that we may not be able to pay the salaries of public sector workers in some 3 months unless a miracle happens. The Minister for Finance has weighed in very fine and polished English. He says something like, quote, the legitimate reality is that there is no money, unquote. At least he has confessed to us that there are some illegitimate realities. Here we recall the African adage, quote, if a crocodile comes out of the water and tells you that a fish is dead, do you challenge? Unquote. The Minister for Finance and other government officials add that soon Ghana will not be able to fund the free SHS scheme, pay the District Assembly's Common Fund, pay the National Health Insurance Levy, pay the Ghana Education Trust Fund, pay the salaries of government workers, pay lecturers in public universities, and end the debilitating strike action by them, pay the arrears owed various contractors, build roads and other infrastructure, and create jobs for the youth. The Finance Minister finally says that government may have to generate monies from fuel price hikes, which are already taking place, and leading to increases in transport fares. Costs are rising in Ghana. Housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels at 28.7%, as well as transport at 17.4%, pushing the rate of inflation for January 2022 to 13.4%, according to the Ghana Statistical Service. The Ghana Statistical Service also revealed that food inflation recorded a rate of 13.7%, having risen from 12.8% in the previous month, and for an average of 10.4% in the previous several months before that, so it's climbing. Non-food inflation also went up in January 2022 to 14.1%, compared with the 12.5% recorded in December 2021, so it's also climbing. In the words of President Mahama, Time is ticking for the crisis-ridden Ghanaian economy. There is no dispute that the Ghanaian economy is in deep crisis, a crisis marked by huge budget deficits, an unsustainable public debt, rising inflation, a rapidly depreciating cedi, ever-rising cost of living, and a loss of confidence by both domestic and international investor communities. The effects of these have been severe hardships and suffering for the people of Ghana, especially those within vulnerable groups. As a result of the horrendous low point we have now reached, it's very clear that urgent intervention is required to avert a total collapse of the economy." Unquote. Ghana's cedi has performed abysmally since the beginning of 2022, despite the efforts of the Bank of Ghana to artificially hold it down. The Ghana cedi ranked second worst among 15 top performance currencies in Africa recently. In the last few months, the cedi has depreciated heavily against the major currencies, moving from 5-point-something cedis to 7-point-something cedis against the dollar in just a few months. When President Mahama handed over power, the cedi was 4-point-something to the dollar. Today, it is 7-point-something in the Forex Bureau. This morning, Joy Business, drawing from International Business News, reported that the Ghana cedi is now the worst performing African currency, having depreciated by 7.6% in January and February 2022 alone. And I hope we all now know that if the fundamentals of the economy are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. Let us remember that the financial crisis is a byproduct of crisis in the real sector of the economy. Dr. Abu Sakara will tell you that. For example, cocoa production in Ghana dropped significantly last year, according to the figures of the International Cocoa Organization. Whilst Ivory Coast recorded a drop of just 4%, for some reason, Ghana recorded a staggering drop of 54%. What is happening? The International Cocoa Organization is still surprised and perplexed that purchasing of graded and sealed cocoa beans for the 2021-2022 cocoa year, as at 6th January 2022, were reported at 263,000 tons only. And please compare the 263,000 tons with 570,000 tons a year earlier. Our president himself has weighed in on the economy and is reported to be, quote, upset and anxious about cedi depreciation. Quote, "I am aware of the anxiety there is in business circles and throughout the population about the recent depreciation of the cedi. I am extremely upset and anxious about it too," unquote. What our president and our government officials are saying about our economy is consistent with what the international financial community has said. Late last month, Bloomberg, Reuters, and Fitch all agreed that Ghana's debt has moved into deeper distress at over 80% of GDP. The Ghana Statistical Service, I keep to the Ghana Statistical Service because it is the official authority. The Ghana Statistical Service puts it at almost 85% debt to GDP ratio, rising from 31.4% just a decade ago when President Mills was president. And to compare, as at the time President Mahama left office, it was 55.94%. The rating agencies add that Ghana is at risk of a debt crunch, with interest payments alone absorbing about half of total government revenues. And this is the second highest ratio in the entire world of 200 countries. So we are number 199 over 200. Resultantly, Ghana was downgraded to B- with a negative outlook, and then to C. First time ever. The Bloomberg has added Ghana to the 5 fragile, indebted African nations who are at risk and on a precipice. The 5 worst African countries. Ghana, Nkrumah's Ghana, is among them. So we can no longer borrow on the international financial markets except at horrendous interest rates. And our only hope, some say, is to go back to the IMF. After pretending to recant a little later, Fitch concludes, quote, general government debt reached an estimated 83% of GDP at end 2021. Who remembers the figure given by Ghana Statistical Service? 85. Including approximately 2% of GDP in debt held through the energy sector levy special purpose vehicle. 83 plus 2 is what? So the Statistical Service is right. We forecast government debt to remain on an upward path through 2025. I'm depressed to read the rest of it. Maybe I should skip a bit. Debt affordability metrics will remain weak. Ghana's debt constitutes 539% of government revenue, compared to other B medians of 325%. You are doing almost double. Let me skip that depressing part. What amazes me is that when things were not 1/10 as bad under the Mahama regime, Occupy Ghana marched on the office of the president, the then Flagstaff House, now called Jubilee House, on 1st July 2014. Many leaders, clergy, intellectuals, lawyers, journalists, many Ghanaians urged them on as they raided the premises of the office of the president, insulted the president to high heavens by the minute, by the hour, by the day, emboldened by a correct interpretation of the law to the effect that it is not a crime to insult the president. President Mahama asked that the security forces not react negatively and that no one should be hurt. I am talking from personal experience because I was inside Flagstaff House that day. Marching on the office of the president, a national security zone, is not a crime. Saying that you will do the coup using the definite article, a reference to the coup that the market women in Kumasi already say they will do, is a heinous crime. Some months after the march on Flagstaff House in 2014, I told the president that I was returning to Legon to continue my job as a people teacher. I explained in part that I was no longer able to align my lifelong activism with the state of things then. By 2019, I had sought out President Mahama and told him that he was a far better president. In 2016, the price of a liter of petrol was 3.75 Ghana cedis. Today, it has broken the 8 and is selling at almost 8 cedis a liter. I used to fill my tank with 400 Ghana cedis in 2016. Today, I fill it with 1,000 Ghana cedis when it is empty. When I was appointed dean, one of my junior brothers came to my house, took my RAV4 away, and left his Land Cruiser and said, the RAV4 doesn't befit your position. So now I'm saddled with a Land Cruiser, which I have to fill every week at 1,000 Ghana. A bowl of kenke was 70 pesos in 2016. Today, it is 2 cedis at my last visit, and it seems to have shrunk in size. Trotro fare from Circle to Adenta was 3 cedis, 70 pesos in 2016. Today, it is 7 cedis. And yet, income levels have remained virtually the same, with only the usual nominal increases in government wages over the period. And so, Mr. Kwame Pianing, a renowned New Patriotic Party politician and economist, is reported to have said that it is a shame Ghana's Yale-trained finance minister has been a historic disaster. Today, things are 10 times worse, and all we hear is loud silence. As Adangba has said in his song Animal Farm, the country where I come from, the truth is an irony. Just like Animal Farm, justice means inequity. So, who go say the truth? Christian Council, silence. Islamic leaders, silence. Kings and queens, silence. Traditional rulers, silence. Who go say the truth? TUC, silence. Even journalists, silence. Enyansafo, more here. Then he tells the story of Nana Yankama, who kills and imprisons anyone who speaks against him. Quote, everybody is afraid. Nana Oseyemai. All this is from the song, not from me. But everybody is afraid. Right is right, wrong is wrong. No matter how you justify. You say you want to get rid of corruption. Someone wants to help you. Now the person becomes a target. Unquote. End of the song. It is sad that we have had to get here. For me, what is sadder is what the running down of our enviable economy has done to families and to people's lives. Recently, a band of armed robbers robbed some Kumasi-bound travelers in a VIP bus from Takrady, while saying to them, quote, pray for us. The system has made us so. In the words of a passenger in the bus, quote, after the robbery, they asked us to pray for them because it was not their will to stop vehicles on the highway and rob passengers of their belongings, but the system has compelled them to do so. They did not hurt any of the passengers. They just took their monies and properties and left. After a friend of ours was robbed at gunpoint recently, witness the following WhatsApp chat that we engaged in on our platform. This is getting serious. Commentator 1. Commentator 2. The national service lady in our office just told me she was also robbed at gunpoint last week. Commentator 3. A friend was robbed around Trasako Estate at gunpoint yesterday at 9 a.m. Just one WhatsApp chat of a few people has pointed to personal experiences of several gunpoint robberies. That's another person. The next person says, whoa, country hot too, 4 more to do more. Another one says, if you mind your business, you get robbed. I'm leaving this country. Another one says, if you complain, you get arrested. Another one says, no one is safe. Another one says, things are getting out of hand. Later on, I'll pass the chat to you for those interested. We must remember that our current president has always been worried about scenarios such as I have painted above. Speaking at the Ebenezer Hall Presbyterian Church, Osu Accra, on 29th May 2009, he said, quote, I am very concerned that sooner or later, militants on our side, convinced that the state cannot or will not protect them, may take measures to protect their interests themselves and their loved ones. Events then will be out of control, driving all of us towards a point of no return." Unquote. Where are we now, and how did we get there? We all know that the episodic spectacularization of our economy by governments are strong, contrast starkly with the reality. Reckless election expenditure in 2020 undermined the economy greatly, as government had to rev up spending to match the opposition party that met it boot for boot in the elections and claimed so many parliamentary seats from it. Of all the monies that we have borrowed from the bond markets in the last decade, 71% of it was borrowed by the current government. Over their entire 4-year tenure, the Mahama regime borrowed less than 3 billion from the bond markets. Less than 3 billion in 4 years. In fact, it counts from 2012, so it's more than 4 years. In 2021 alone, one single year, the current government borrowed more than $3 billion in 1 year. In 2018, they borrowed 2 billion. In 2019, 3 billion. In 2020, another 3 billion. And in 2021, they actually added up to the 3 billion. So it's in excess of 3 billion. And this is from the bond market alone. We haven't counted the mopping up of domestic savings. Aside borrowing huge amounts of money, not for production, but mostly for consumption, the government consistently moved the country steadily away from growth-inducing investments and into consumption. I'll give you some examples. Many new ministries that would not qualify for administrative units in a viable country were created. A bloated cabinet, the largest we have ever had since independence. Free SHS. Creation of 6 new regions. 6 new regions. The last time we created a region before that was in 1983. Creation of 44 new districts, bringing the number to 261 in one tiny unitary microstate, which is not a federation. Adding 300,000 jobs, more than that, for party faithful to the public wage bill. This is what has gotten us to this crisis. You cannot consume when you have not created. That is the problem. Future outlook. Ghana now and in the next few years. I'm getting to the end. I had a party in my home some years ago. As usual, somebody came with a gallon of apeteshi. Real local content. Now, the red and white labels and cognacs were merely for display on the table. The apeteshi, in a white gallon, was placed under the table. I do not know why we do that. And the apeteshi got exhausted quickly. Not the exotic drinks. They go quarter way down, I return to the cabinet and I wait another party. The way we treat the apeteshi is the way we treat the real state of our economy. We hide it. In real African tradition, we believe that a good economy, and certainly money, doesn't like noise. So forgive me when I say publicly that Ghana is darn broke. There is no other way to say it. We are not suffering passing illiquidity. We are not experiencing temporary financial distress. We have accumulated debt stock that is crippling the economy. Unless we allow the reality of this current situation of our economy to sink in, so that we can, with cool heads, calm hearts, and steady fingers, pull ourselves, in the words of Kwesi Botwe, back from the precipice, we are economically doomed. And as you know, it is the economy, stupid. The sad news is this: we are not just broke. Unless we do something about it immediately, we are going to be in economic and financial ruins. Is it ruins or ruins? Ruins for the next 12 years. In the next 3 years, we all know that the government is capable of doing only one thing: borrow more, domestically and internationally, in order to pay the public wage bill, barely keep up with interest payments on loans. The principal will remain intact, depend on donor funds for most goods and services, and borrow even more to start some infrastructure projects just for show. So 3 years gone. Domestic borrowing will starve the economy of needed capital to grow, completely suffocating it. Increasing cost of living will fuel labor unrest, and government will further empty all local coffers, mopping up any available excess liquidity and borrowing more internationally to pay up. Then, having laden us with even more crippling debt, and securing an economy on life support. And amidst fanfare, they will gladly hand over to a new administration on 7th January 2025. The processes for doing the above will not be smooth sailing, especially with a hung parliament, unless some minority MPs are locked up in jail or forcefully kicked off their seats through civil suits in accordance with the plan for these that are now underway. There will be stiff opposition to government's quest for approvals for loans and critical initiatives by the minority caucus in Parliament. But this will not be a good thing, because it will lead to increased transaction costs for those loans, higher kickbacks, and poorer deals, all of which are ultimately debt for we the people to carry on our backs. So, Mr. Sosu, when you're opposing these loans, remember that we are just increasing the 10% to 20% for the initiator of the loan, because it's more difficult for him to get it. And so his cut will be higher. And the deal will be worse, because they have to negotiate down. And then we are all in deeper debt. The next administration, I pity the next president and administration, would immediately be faced with the following. 1, a huge election bill to service, as the coming elections will be expensive given the third forces that are emerging. So they have to buy them in or do deals with them. 2, huge interest and principal payments for the previous 8 years, some of them due in 2025, weeks after the new president assumes office, and some in 2026. Not just interest, but what? Principal. 3, angry and hungry supporters who have been kicked out of the public service and financially emasculated for 8 years at rates and to extents never experienced in the last 30 years, and who have laid down their lives, limbs, and empty pockets for the win at the elections. And the last thing the new administration will be faced with is an economy on its deathbed. If we allow the above scenario to unfold, the next administration will have no choice but to run to the IMF. And we all know that the IMF does one thing, and one thing only. It does not take a do not resuscitate order And so, Professor Jimambedu Akosa would understand what I'm saying. And so with the two electric shock pads in hand, the IMF will shock our economy back to life. We will, however, remain on the sick bed and in the sick bay as long as the IMF is with us. Once they get in, they will not leave until after 4 years of that administration are over. So 3 years of more borrowing and crippling the economy, 4 years of IMF. How many years? It is only in the next 3 to 4 years that the same or another administration will now begin to draw us back completely from the precipice. That will be 11 to 12 long years lost to the Ghanaian economy. Most of us sitting here, young, virile, would have retired by then. We cannot allow this to happen to this nation. Finally, what should we do and what should we not do? I have stated all the problems. I'm now trying to proffer some solutions as the last segment of the speech. There is only one thing to do now: prevent a coup in Ghana. Since the climate and the environment, national and immediate international, are conducive for one. Preventing a coup in Ghana today is not very difficult. In fact, it is pretty easy if we put politics and male egos aside. It is an easy 3-step process. However, before we get to what we must do and the 3-step process, let me consider what we must not do. First, we must compel the government to acknowledge the current economic mess they mostly, and previous governments to a lesser extent, have driven us into. Denialism should not be allowed. I am glad that the government and the Minister of Finance, my friend Ken Oforiatta, has acknowledged our dire economic situation. So the first thing not to do is denialism. Second, we must not accept the lie that the current economic crisis is due to COVID. The injection of cash into the economy from various financial institutions during COVID and the forced import substitution economy could have actually improved our economy if it were better managed. And especially as we took a comparatively light hit from COVID. Ghana's economic problems started before COVID-19. On balance, COVID-19 was a good thing for Africa and Ghana. Not many people died. And yet huge opportunities opened up in import substitution and reduction of the import bill, and even in the digital economy, from whence e-levy, ironically, cometh. The current administration in 2020-2021 received very large bailouts. $1 billion, not cedis, concessionary facility from IMF. Another $1 billion in special drawing rights allocation. Almost $500 million from the World Bank. Additionally, Ghana took $250 million from our stabilization fund and 10 million cedis from the Bank of Ghana, totaling 30 billion Ghana cedis. We didn't get as much money before COVID. So financially, COVID was a good thing for government. The conclusion of the joint World Bank-IMF debt sustainability analysis on Ghana in December 2019, months before COVID hit Ghana, had this to say, quote, before COVID, they told us, quote, Ghana is at high risk of external debt distress, with threshold breached on the present value of external debt to GDP ratio, the debt service to export ratios, and the external debt service to revenue ratios, with the latter exceeding the threshold throughout the forecast horizon. So we should not accept the lie that our current economic situation was created by COVID. It is not true. Third, we must compel the current government to fix its own economic mess. Carry your own shit, excuse my French. We will not be your night soil carriers in the future. At the end of June 2020, Ghana's debt stock was approximately 258.4 billion Ghana cedis, an increase of 118% in just 4 years. Haba. Fourth, we must ensure that the government does not run to the IMF for a bailout. Like Minister for Finance Ken Ofori-Atta has said, quote, whatever we do, we are not going to the IMF. The consequences are dire. We are a proud nation. We have the resources. We have the capacity. We are not people of short sight, unquote. Whilst I do not agree with his mode of managing our economy, I agree with the Minister for Finance when he says we should not go to the IMF. I told you already the IMF shocks economics back to life. It was not set up and has no success stories for making economies flourish and thrive. And we don't want to be merely a bedridden economy. I am also afraid that an IMF program will start with an audit of COVID-19 expenditures. And given what has happened with some other audits in other African countries, I shudder to think what will happen if we are audited for our use of the double-digit billions of Ghana cedis the IFS gave us as COVID support. So the final portion of my paper, what should we do? 3 steps for putting Ghana's economy on a firm footing for the future. In concrete terms, we need to implement the following steps in order to prevent a coup and the collapse of our economy. The first step is to pass the damn Farah-fucking e-levy bill immediately and implement it effectively. Yes, you heard me right. The e-levy is both done and a Farah-fucker. However, to prevent the collapse of the economy and a return to the stranglehold of the IFIs, we have no choice but to pass it. As someone has noted, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will go down in history as, quote, the president of public debt, or, quote, the president of austerity, or maybe both. E-levy is the part of the presidency of austerity. The starting point for successfully passing the e-levy bill is for government to stop lying to us, the citizenry. Come clean. Confess that you had thought the job of managing the economy was simple, but that you now know better. Abate the arrogance and high-handedness. Ask the people of Ghana for forgiveness. And pray the people of Ghana that we have limited options right now. We either allow the economy to collapse and we all suffer and get back into the grips of the neo-colonial IFIs, or we use the e-levy to prevent economic recession and depression. Ghanaians are smart and empathetic and will gladly support the e-levy if this is done right. Fellow Ghanaians, if we do not support the damn Farah-fucking e-levy, government will simply tax something else, such as fuel. They're already doing it, leading to a hike in trotro fares. And they will additionally steal for central government from the District Assembly's Common Fund, the GET Fund, the National Health Insurance Levy, the Road Fund. They are already doing it. Just like Kwesi Bochwe discovered taxes on fuel during the Gulf War, Ken Ofori-Atta discovered taxes on Momo during COVID. We have in Ghana over 40.5 million mobile phone subscribers and over 17.1 million active mobile money subscribers. The total value of transactions on mobile money grew by a cumulative average growth rate of 65% between 2016 and 2021. Significantly, it rose from just 78.5 billion Ghana cedis in 2016 to almost 1 trillion cedis in 2021. And so the e-levy, depending on the rate and the patronage, could rake in billions of cedis every year. And the e-levy is easy to identify and cheap to collect. The bond markets say they won't give us money anymore, or at excessive interest rates. Domestic savings have been mopped up. What do you want the government to do? We can no longer borrow on the international financial markets except at horrendous interest rates, because our current debt to GDP ratio of over 80% has led to investor fears of our ability to pay or sustain payments of loan interest or principal at some point. Further, increased inflation in developed countries is expected to lead to an increase in financing costs in the international capital markets and consequently affect interest rates. It is no surprise that government has decided to suspend borrowing from the international capital markets. The Varadkar e-levy, as horrible and as wicked as it is the only way to save our economy from collapse in the near term. Fellow Ghanaians, the power is in your hands. Let us embrace the Varadkar e-levy and save our economy and our nation from collapse. This is the sad reason why I have become an ardent supporter of the Dan Varadkar e-levy. Because without it, the economy will collapse. As Ghanaians, we should, however, ask for one thing: absolute transparency every step of the way, in the way and manner the e-levy is collected and used. Occupy Ghana has called for this already. This is the place to establish a special e-levy commission, not in those other areas. History is beautiful and history matters. On 1st April 1852, the Gold Coast Poll Tax Ordinance was proclaimed. It failed and was finally scrapped by the colonialists in 1861. The problems were: 1, misapplication of proceeds; 2, embezzlement of tax proceeds; 3, weak monitoring; 4, poor patronage; 5, lack of consultation; and 5th, failure of the British to protect the coastal states from the Ashantis. In this case, a possible failure to protect low-income workers. This is 1852. The same problems the e-levy is facing today. The e-levy commissioner and commission have their job well cut out for them if they are to make the e-levy succeed. It is sad that we have had to get here, but it will be sadder if we do not pay it in the short run and start holding government by the throat to account for every little peso we pay. Citizen groups must actively audit the e-levy account as a backup to the work of the e-levy commission. After we pay the Varadkar e-levy, we need to immediately begin the process of redeeming our economy and our nation. And now I'm moving to the second step of the 3-step redemption style. That step is to exploit COVID-19 to shore up domestic production and import substitution, saving the cedi from its endless run at Hussein Bolt speed against the major currencies, and create the needed decent jobs to keep the youth busy so they don't join the coup. This process will include rationalization of the tax exemptions we offer in this country and reorder them to support domestic production. Our president, in his 2019 State of the Nation address, painted a dire picture of the tax exemptions regime, calling it, quote, a growing threat to fiscal stability and revenue generation, unquote. Again, Using rapid COVID-induced digitization of the economy, we can easily reduce the cost of doing business and general transaction costs, even the cost of goods and services generally, using technological developments in innovations spawned and spurred by COVID. Rough as it may sound, the second step may also involve auctioning our bauxite or other mineral reserves to the Chinese, for example, for many billions of dollars that will be used exclusively for rebuilding and extending our roads, railways, irrigation fields, power plants for export of power to the West Africa power pool and beyond, and so on. The production from these investments will then pay off our loans with change to lend to other countries. The third and last step is to constitutionalize our development. As a nation, we should be ashamed that my private firms plan for 4 to 10 years, whilst our entire nation has functional plans and budgets for only 1 year. The longest we plan for is 4 years as a country, and most of the times we don't get there. Are we all right? This is why we need to constitutionalize our development, so that the broad strokes of our development are contained in the directive principles of state as enforceable provisions, with a constitutional directive for an independent National Development Planning Commission to detail out from that a 40 to 50-year development plan. As I have just said, all I have just said are contained in the recommendations of the Constitution Review Commission set up by President Mills and in the 40-year development plan that President Mahama commissioned and completed, titled Black Star Rising, Long-Term National Development Plan for Ghana, 2018 to 2057. Kudos also in this last respect to Dr. Nimoy Thompson, one of Africa's veritable economists, and to Dr. Kwesi Bochwe, who were Director General and Chair, respectively, of the National Development Planning Commission that spearheaded the 40-year development plan. Professor Fiajo, the Chair of the Constitution Review Commission, under whom I worked as Executive Secretary to the Commission, and the members of the Commission, which included the New Patriotic Party stalwart, Akenten Appiah-Menka, also deserve mention. These same proposals are contained in the Agenda for Constitutional Reform, spearheaded by Dr. Abu Sakare's National Interest Movement. As Vice President Mike Pence stated recently, if we lose faith in our Constitution, we will lose our country. The constitutionalization of our development plan will make it compulsory for each successive government to implement the plan, taking off from where the predecessor government left off. Our Constitution is largely a political document. It is necessary to amend it to meet our developmental needs and objectives, moving it from a political to a developmental constitution. A comprehensive, long-term, strategic, multi-year and binding national development plan covering the hard and soft aspects of governance, and flexible enough for each administration to determine the methodologies for implementing the plan, but not the core objectives and targets of the plan, is well overdue. Conclusion. We are living in a really fucked up world today. Again, excuse my French. A third world war is imminent over Ukraine, of all places. The COVID-19 pandemic is ravaging the world. Repressive regimes are now the majority the world over, most exploiting COVID to expand their powers and repress their citizenry. Canada, of all places, is clamping down on citizen demonstrations. And the United States experienced their first attempted coup d'etat in centuries in January last year. As for Africa, literally every government is being toppled or sitting on tenterhooks. The picture does not look good. The world cannot continue like this. And Ghana, always the pace setter, must show the way. It can be done. Like I said many months ago, from this very platform, and paraphrasing Reverend Father Stephen Kofi Sakwaku, who gave the opening prayer that day, quote, "May it not be said that we live by a stream of water and yet are thirsty. May it not be said that we live in a land of milk and honey and yet go hungry." This is the reason Solidarity Ghana was formed. May she continue to use her joint intellectual resources to ensure that all Ghanaians drink from the streams of milk and eat of the honey that Odumankuma has given us, and which Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah retained and maintained for us. And may our government always remember the final words of Adangba in his song, Animal Farm. Quote, "Jobless know the mean senseless. Poverty know the mean useless. One day they go resist." Unquote. I thank you for your attention, and may God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong.
Right there.
No matter how you view yourself as a complete person who is enough, friends and family sometimes make you feel incomplete once you remain unmarried. Many people see marriage as the ultimate goal for well-established people, especially women. Your six-figure job, your PhD, and other accomplishments doesn't matter to them. But have you stopped to wonder why some successful men and women are unlucky with love? And is it true that people who come to their life do so for the money and security? Well, I want answers. My name is Paula Amabroni. This is Monts and Cuddles on GhanaWeb TV. We'll be right back. You're welcome back to Monts and Cuddles on GhanaWeb TV. I am Paula Amabroni. There's a lot of questions that people ask, like, you're successful, you're doing well for yourself. But then people don't see who you are. Everybody wants to know who you are dating. When are you going to get married? The question comes everywhere. You face it in your church, your work, even in your neighborhood. But today I have here with me some guests to discuss if it's true that successful people, when it comes to love, they are unlucky with it. I have the managing editor of blackpepper.com, Mistake Mike. Mistake with the flow. Mistake, Happy New Year.
Many, same to you, as they will say, rather. This is not Christmas.
Many happy returns, but of course, however you say it, we want to be part of 2023 come next year. Good to have you back, Mistake.
It's always a pleasure being here.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
I have a new face, Ama Krampash. Ama, it's good to have you here on Monts and Cuddles. Ama is a TV presenter and the host of the Extra All Woman Show. Good to have you. Ama, you are glowing. You have to tell us your secret. But I know you're doing well for yourself and where you in the media space. You've met people, of course. Maybe if you are following the trends, the fact that people say sometimes Ghanaian women, when they become successful, it doesn't matter the sector you find yourself in, whether you are in the media, whether you are doing movies, songs. Some people assume that it's hard for these women to find love. Is it true that successful and well-established people, when it comes to love, they are sometimes unlucky.
You mean women like me?
Women,
Please,
men.
I'm not that successful yet. So.
Yeah. Mama, are you sure about that? Yeah, I know you want to achieve more, but
trying.
Yeah.
I think there's a bit of truth in that. A bit of truth. But it's not just because you have been successful.
Okay.
But the truth is here. Even before a woman has money or is on top of her world, when you have some level of confidence as a woman in Africa, already you have been sidelined. Over a day, it will be difficult for a mother to accept her son to marry you. Because she sees you and she thinks, you walk so confidently. And there's no more you. You know, that thing is there. And it's gradually that perception, this new generation, we are trying to change the status quo. When you become successful, let's say right now I'm the host of, let me say, I work with BBC now. More people know me, that kind of sort. So, one, my financial state has gone up. So if, for instance, I was living in, let's say, Dakuma, I'll probably be living in Villaggio, somewhere like that. So the man coming in, if he is not financially at that level, he's lost it, you know. And then there's this perception that when you gain a certain level of status, you as a woman or a man, you expect your partner to be at the same level. Sometimes that's not the case, but it's a perception, and so people don't come for it because they've already put in you in a certain world. So he will not even try his luck, thinking that,
it's true. I don't know whether it's intimidation.
It is, of course. He's looking at your car, he's looking at your house, he's imagining your salary, and he's thinking, how can I impress her? How can I impress this woman? I mean, I've had some kind of experience.
Okay.
And the guy was thinking, like, I can't take you out too. I cannot afford to take you out on a date. I was sad because he was a good guy. And he was thinking that he needs to... Black women, why are you laughing?
Yeah, the money. He's thinking about the money.
No, you know? See, sometimes that's not what it is. The woman likes to look good. She likes to dress well, walks confidently, well put together. It doesn't mean that you cannot get in her life. You don't need to match up to her lifestyle. Maybe that's not what she's lacking. That's not what she's looking for in a man. But you think that you have to be able to probably take her on a $2,000 date. You're supposed to be able to buy her designer goods because you see her wearing that. She can afford them. That's why she's buying them. So she doesn't need you to come on. Some women do, though. But if you're looking for a relationship, I don't think it's always the fact or the point that I'm looking for a man who can do exactly for me what I do for myself or more. Sometimes you just need someone that will just listen. Someone that will ask you, baby, how was your day? Someone that will just maybe rub your feet. Someone that you can talk to. Oh, I had a bad day. And he'll just tell you a thing or two, and all the stress and all the pain, it's just gone. But the perception out there is very big, and so to narrow it down, it's going to take a few brave guys to come. I mean, I'm talking in the sense of a successful female. It will take a few brave guys to come forward and try their luck and see that, oh, I thought you were rude, oh, I thought you were, disrespectful, but look at you, you're so nice, you're talking to me, and then,
So a lot of successful women are denied or deprived love because of the perception some men out there have about their level of,
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Black Pepper.
Yeah.
Do men also feel the same? Established men, is it difficult to find someone for you, someone who is not in for the cash?
Well, finding the right partner is always a challenge. And so just as females have obstacles in that regard, men also do. But with the females, when Amma was speaking, I would like to add that oftentimes when people express concern about you aging and you not having a partner, oftentimes it's well-intentioned. You see, it's well-intentioned because in their thinking, the woman is on a biological clock. and that clock is ticking, and that clock's most productive years are ticking and going by. So that it is the same reason why your mom is going to be prompting you that you've gone to school, you said schooling, you've done your degree, you've done your master's, you have a well-paying job. What are you waiting for? It's the same reason why colleagues at work who know how good you are, that you're a very good person, are asking, why can't you land a man? Because time is of the essence, especially in a regime that we are in where a woman to bear children, in Ghana here, there might not be any scientific data to it, but often the women would love that by their 28th to the 30th year, they should have at least a child. All right. In our circumstances.
Let me come in. You made a point that family or friends will be thinking your biological clock, the clocks. There's a clock.
I wanted to come in.
I
wanted him to
so with that, I find it a bit offensive because if there was a man in my house, in my life, I would have gone ahead. Why do you think, unless people who just enjoy being alone, if the men are available, you will go for them. So sometimes the pressure is just too much.
Yeah, the pressure. Let me land this one.
I have to say this before I forget it. The biological clock thing. Have you heard of surrogacy? I can be 50 years and have a baby.
But it isn't for everyone. The cost component takes it out of the reach of the average Ghanaian.
It's an option.
Yeah, but how many people can access it? And even our system, our medical systems, even the malaria and the Okada hitting emergency, and even for the emergency treatment, I not to say Okada krana yedo rush to Kolebunin. So the surrogacy thing is for the elite. It's for a certain caliber of people in this society. So that having been established, I understand that it can be quite annoying. It can be a nuisance the way certain people, even though it is well intentioned, go about these things. I mean, ideally, if you express your concern and the person says it is something I'm working on, you should leave the person alone. If Paula, with all her social media activeness, with all her meeting, all of these meals, says she hasn't landed anyone, but then she's working on it. It isn't a decision that I don't want a man in my life. You leave Paula alone, so that she figures things out herself. It isn't every time you'll be reminding Paula. That becomes a nuisance.
All right.
But for the men also, our case is a bit different, because for the men, the more the age, it is when they become financially more stable and viable. When they are younger, they have very little. It is when they proceed through the system, the educational qualifications, the work experience, having worked with you, having worked, that's where the salary, it is where the earning power increases. Okay. So for a man who has not landed a woman yet or has not married yet, the dynamics are different from a woman's own, because the more the man travels through the 30th, the 40th, the 50th, all other things being equal, it is when he becomes very solid indeed.
All right. So, mistake, whilst a man is working, just to make ends meet, just to be well established, to be able to take care of the wife and then the children who's yet to find. Yeah. Would you say that at that period, how would you know that someone who is coming into your life is the right person? Because I know there are a lot of people who are successful, they're going about their jobs, they are so busy. They don't get the luxury to, meet people and socialize. Yeah. It's all about work. But then when you meet somebody at that period, how would you know this is the right person? We
can't have everything in life. But we can make intentional decisions in acquiring things or having things. Okay. And so, even for a very busy man, a very busy male professional, if you are seeking a partner, you can't go about identifying the intent of people, because you are not a magician or you are not a mystic. You are not a stoic person, so you cannot go into their minds to know that is your motive sincere, is your motive clear, or is it dubious. You wouldn't know that, but it is on the basis of the evidence that you see, that you feel. It is that which must guide you in taking a decision. Now, if I'm a 40-year-old male and I don't have a child, and now I'm financially secured, I've sorted my accommodation, I have a very beautiful living quarters, I have my means of transport, and now I want to be able to call a child my own. And the women that come my way, I do not know their intents, because some can put on a charade. You want a baby. It is a baby you want. So if I were you, or I were the man, look at the most desirable woman you would want to bear a child with, and go for that.
All right.
Go for that and have a child, because at the end of the day, you want a baby.
Is it just the baby's marriage, or maybe I'm
What if
getting
she's
it
sick
wrong?
or something?
No,
I'm disease.
No, I'm saying that look at the woman that you feel most attracted to.
Yeah, but what if she's beautiful and sick?
And then who has a modicum of certain indicators? Because you must have your marking scheme. You have your marking scheme going into the exam. So you are ticking against what is before you. So she's sexually attractive. I want my woman in a slender way, and she ticks that box. Or I want my woman fleshy, and she ticks that box. So you tick that box. I do not know why she is coming, because you cannot establish that. Time would reveal that.
Right.
But the certain indicators that ticks your box, you work with that.
All right. So, Amma, for a successful woman who is willing to give love a try, what are some of the red flags you should look out for when these men come your way? Because we always say they come in for money and security, if that is what is true out there. But then there's some red flags you should know that, no, this is not going to take me anywhere.
I think it's relative.
Okay.
Very relative, because certain things matters differently to every other person. So the signs or red flags, okay, he wants your money. Some women don't care, depending on how desperate she might be, how many times her mother calls her in a day to
Maybe how good the
wail
dating
about
is.
Major Menana. You know, how many times she's embarrassed to go up to the grocery shop. Depending, so some might not care. And like Mystic was saying, maybe she also really wants to have a baby. So it is just for that. But red flags, personally, because I cannot speak for everybody, but if you know the kind of man you're looking for, and then you find him and you see the qualities that you want in him, obviously everybody has his or her qualities that she looks out for in a man, and then she has the other qualities she does not want to see at all. So it's very relative, and if you see the things you don't want in him, I think you shouldn't let desperado lead you into settling with him. If it's about a baby, now there are so many scientific ways to carry your own baby without having to sexually be in contact with a man.
But the question is, if are women open to that? Because people think that the natural way, let's just stick with the natural way. But because I remember Enyedo was in the news that she had a baby, and then come and see how everybody was questioning. So he just went for a sperm donor. Do you know his trait? It was a whole lot. I was like, yeah, come on, we are in 21st century. Give her a break.
People talk, it's your life.
Jeez.
It's your life. It always has to be what's good for you.
Yeah.
It's your life. And so if you're going to look at what people are going to say, especially when you are a known figure or you're in that kind of world of business, then you will not do certain things. There's so many things you will not do that might be good for you. So it's your life. If, for example, you don't want a man who, you want a man who always gets the door for you, and this man doesn't get it, and you try talking it out with him, and he sees it like, nah, maybe, I mean, yes, I am, man. And then maybe you want a man that to call you baby, honey. This person calls you sweetie pie or do you, and you know, maybe he's not that polished. Come on, don't just be in it. So I mean, there are individual preferences. And so red flags are very relative for everybody. Some women can condone a lot. Some women can condone a lot. I mean, some will just look at a few things. Some too, the little things just, you know, put them off. So you know your red flags when you see them and you think you can't, you know, contain it. I think you should just.
Right. So personally, I would say you trust your instinct, because love, they say, is blind, but sis, you can't let love blind you. But the moment you feel like you're being used, don't feel like, oh, maybe it's just one of those things. No, you deserve best, because if you are working your ass out, you're making your own money, you should, we are not saying everyone is perfect, but you should just strive for perfection, because everybody is not perfect, but you deserve the best. Now, Mystic, are men intimidated by women who pay the bills. So everything, you go to dinner with her, she wants to grab her ATM, she wants to grab her card, she wants to take out her purse. Oh baby, I'll get you this. Everything. Or you prefer that, okay fine, we know the money, you got it. Should she give it to the man, or it's okay to feel like it's my own money, I decide to pay the bills anytime? Will you be intimidated, or will your brothers be?
Well, it would for me, it will depend on the drama behind that giving.
Okay.
If you're a good sport and you genuinely offer, if we go out, they say, hey, come on babe, I got this, and pays, and there's no drama, there's no reference to it in future conversations.
I fed you.
You know, if we are driving and we get to the fuel station and you say, babe, let me fill this tank, you do it. I, for one, wouldn't be alarmed. I wouldn't be bothered, because it is done out of the generosity of your own heart.
Okay.
You know, but the problem I reckon that males have with women who do good or perform these is the reference, is the constant referrals.
Constant referrals.
That's what really triggers them. Because if you offered to pay for our dinner date, just as men have done since millennia, and you choose to do it, why should this become so monumental that in any disagreement, I paid money. I paid money. I fed you.
Even the shoes you're wearing, I bought it.
Why should that become a problem?
Okay.
Because you opted. Nobody begged you. You were not forced. Hell, if I found a woman who was wealthy and was so generous and was kind-hearted and was very measured, what would be my problem, Paula?
Tell me.
I'll be thanking the gods.
Allah.
I'll be thanking Allah that for landing me such a lady, because it makes everything sweet. It makes everything, and then I will really be putting in the work.
So you are not the kind of man who say they don't want to be with successful women because they'll intimidate them, they'll make them feel,
I'll
you
be
don't
damned.
care.
I'll be damned.
Okay.
If I were to turn it down, I'll be damned.
Okay. That's fine. I respect your choice. But then, Amma, as Mystic was saying, they don't like the reference and all that. Every little argument, you want to bring it up that I gave you this. Come on, nobody wants that. So as a successful woman, how can you integrate a man into your life without making him feel intimidated? How can you? How best can you?
Yeah, I think it's the attitude and intimidation, the fear of that is what makes most men stay back. You know, before a woman gets to a certain level in her career, in her life, I'm sure you have a plan. There are things you want to do. You want to go here, go there, you know, work here, work there, then move from your own talk show. Maybe you want to, you know, there's a plan, right? It involves a lot of sacrifices.
Okay.
So when finally she gets there, or she's almost there, she looks at all these sacrifices and it is now time for her to relax and get taken care of. Okay. So you're coming in and, you know, I expect you to do certain things for me, not as my, excuse me to say, my houseboy, as my partner, but I expect you to be more loving, more caring. Okay, I'll try my best not to be rude, not to take out a bad day on you.
Sure.
I'll try to be nice to you, but I expect you to know that let's say a business executive. So don't expect me to always be there, be in a good mood. Some days are bad. Some days you have meetings all over. You have your bosses on your neck. I think these men fail to understand what makes a woman. What it takes for these women to get it. They think it's different for women, but the same struggles you go through to get to the top, women go through worse. Am I lying? You go through worse, especially when you're good looking. All your intentions are misconstrued. You're being, you know, and so when she goes through all that, takes all, excuse my language, shit, and gets there, honey, you're not coming in to make her life more difficult. Yes, she will give you the attitude. It is there with every successful woman. It's not a lie. And sometimes they're not deliberately rude. It is the fact that, come on, my bread. They've been no house up. And I want you to do certain things. No, I've done that. I've been there. Now I'm here. I want to enjoy my life. So don't come and make it hell.
Right.
Okay. So I think these men expect so much from women, not taking into consideration their status and what they might have gone through to get there, and how it's important for them to feel taken care of.
Amma, when we come back from the break, we will discuss the misconception that successful women don't know how to take care of homes when it comes to like cooking for the man and all that, because they are too busy with their life. So we'll take a quick break here. When we come back, Mons and Cuddles continues. Welcome back to Mons and Cuddles on GhanaWeb TV. Now remember that the show is proudly sponsored by Cheesy Pizza. Cheesy Pizza has all you want, from juices, smoothies, jollof, fried rice, spag and meatballs. We have great deals for you all week round. Cheesy Pizza gives you the McCheesy combo every Monday and Thursday. With only 49 cedis, you get one small size pizza, fries and chicken, one cola drink at all branches. Tuesdays are Super Tuesdays at all Cheesy Pizza branches. Buy your Super Family Pizza at half price every Tuesday for 40 cedis. Be part of the midweek bonanza every Wednesday. Buy and get one free at all Cheesy Pizza branches. Also remember to start your weekend with special jollof and fried rice from Cheesy Pizza branches every Friday. Call 026-413-3397 to place your order. Cheesy Pizza, your way. Now, am I a mistake? With me, I believe in wise counsel from elderly people. So even at my age, if I bring a man and then my parents are not so cool with the person, you know, it's not because maybe of where he comes from or the money, but then there are just certain things that they see as red flags. Maybe you might be blinded by love, but then they feel like, no, we've seen you be around this guy. It might be his own seriousness and something that he does, but you don't see. As a successful young woman or man, how do you convince your family, close friends, that the man or woman who is in your life is not in for the money, but genuinely, you know what you find in them, that's why you are sticking with them? How can you do that without getting in trouble with the whole drama from family and friends?
It's not your place to prove to anyone that they are not in for the money. It's not in your place.
You have mistake, but I feel like sometimes you have to explain.
No, what matters.
Yes.
It's not for you to go be their counsel or their attorney.
Okay.
What it is you must do when these concerns are raised is for your parents, your family head, or anybody expressing that concern to articulate their concerns very clearly. Okay. Make the point you've discovered or you've noticed or you've noted.
Clearly.
Make it clearly stated why you think this person is only parading as something they are not. And when they make the case so clearly, you must then put it to strict proof. You must then put it to strict test to see what the outcome will be. If concerns are raised, it is not for you to jump. Oh no, this person is so like, no. Put those concerns to the test, and if your man or your woman excels, then you have even better reason to deepen your love for him or her.
Right.
If they are saying that this is a gold digger, if people have expressed concern that this is a gold digger coming in to squander your wealth, coming in to suck you dry, it is in your best interest to limit the goodies you are giving her. Limit it. If you used to give her 1,000 cedis allowance every week, tell her
every week. Okay.
Tell her.
Interesting.
Interesting. Tell her that things are difficult at work. Contracts are not coming through. So you can only be giving 200 for now till things stabilize. See the reaction.
Okay.
For how long do you have to keep on with that charade?
No, I mean, just you know, examine, see how she takes it.
Okay.
Other goodies you go, maybe you give her a gift voucher, go and shop anything or for a certain amount, you know.
So you should hold it for a while to
Exactly.
see if they will be the same.
You know, you must look at the elements. The
Okay.
sun does not always shine. The rain also comes in. You know, the rain comes in. You know, even in Africa, that we are not in Europe and the Americas, where we have autumn, winter, spring, and the others. Even in Africa, where they say the sun always shines, there's the Harmattan period. There's the Harmattan for you to also get some chillness, some coldness. Even the elements tells us that there's no one way to life. There are always ups and downs, and the waves will come and go. Go to the seashore. Look at the waves coming and going. Sometimes coming so close to you at your feet, and then going so far off.
So a true partner is the one who will stick with you when the hard times come.
Exactly.
So it's good to play that card once in a while.
Let the elements reveal the true identity
Of your
the
partner.
true intent of your supposed partner.
All
then
right.
you can be rest assured that this person is in for the real deal and not for all the benefits that come with it.
All right. So I've heard people advise these successful women that, see, it's good to sign a prenup, especially when a man is coming to your life. Make him sign something that, see, if you leave today, we are not coming to say we're married, so I've come to divide my wealth and give you some percentage because of what the law says.
Yeah.
Is it advisable to introduce that?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, in the sense that if you are more successful than the man, if you have more in terms of money than the man, of course, it will be painful to go through all the hassle
Charlie.
for 10, 15 years. And
So
then
come and use 30 seconds to divide your
or
wealth.
don't you
Oh.
know, maybe you even settled. Sometimes you probably settled for him. And then he comes in, and because he sees everything is there, he probably misbehaves and the relationship doesn't go the way you expect. And he comes in with, let's say, a Kia Picanto, and now he's taking home 2 Prados, a house in
Look
East
at
Legon
that.
Hills, another one in Airport.
My sweat.
Because you have like 5 houses, they are splitting. That
You can't think
no
far.
way. So yes, sign a prenup if you are more richer than he is. But know when you guys are on the same pedestal, maybe he has more than you have. When you don't feel the need, because trust me, from the beginning he will definitely pretend he's not in for the money, of course, because he's seeing that you have the money but you are lacking that company, that comfort. So that's where he's going to hammer, that's where he's going to give more. So from the beginning he's going to make you feel like, you know, and he will reject, if he's in for business, he will reject all the goodies. I'm telling you, if you try to change his car, he will not accept. And when he marries you, and now everything legally says us, not yours. That's when you wake up and
You
you
see
see the Mercedes. I wanted to use the Mercedes. You can use the Prado. It's your car. Oh, they're your cars,
But
but now he's now trying.
us.
So my sister, if you are more successful than your partner, I think that you should sign a prenup. If he doesn't want to sign a prenup, then you know that he is probably coming in for your money. Because if it's not for your money, he will not have any problem. It goes the other way. I mean, it's a bit uncomfortable when it's when a man is asking a woman to sign a prenup, you know, because women contribute a lot in a marriage apart from
The
money.
childbirth. Sometimes they have to put their career on hold to take care of the
most
home.
of us do. You put your career on hold. In fact, even if you don't put your career on hold, when you are pregnant, when you get to a certain stage of the pregnancy, you can go to work. You have like 6 months leave, and sometimes it's not even enough. Having the baby, trying to wean off the baby at a very early age, or you know, expressing milk, Charlie, all those, it's work, and you don't get paid for in cash. They don't. So Charlie, if it's the other way,
Hey, you be a bit partial
So-
there.
so,
Now you be a bit partial.
my good man out there, just as she's articulated a point, you also, if you are the richer man, make sure you insist on the prenup.
no way. It doesn't
Insist
work
on the
other
prenup
way,
because
man. It doesn't
what
work
is
the
good
other
A
for
way.
woman will
what
show
is
you.
good for the goose is good for the gander.
All right.
We contribute a lot in a marriage or relationship that you cannot quantify. You cannot quantify what a woman brings.
But
to
I
you.
think even in the law courts, the assets that a partner accrued before you came into his life are not subject for equal sharing.
Okay, I don't know that.
I don't really know about
so
that. We
if
need to confirm
the person
that.
has, lived in Wabobra over many years, acquired those houses before you came into his life, there's no way you can come and say you want equal
Really?
share of it.
Wait, I will check
If
that
it's
and
true,
then
then
get
it's
more
fair.
details.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Amma, why you earlier you made mention that successful people, it's not like they are in for your money or anything. At a point, they just need someone who be understanding, who be caring and all
Yeah.
that. So, if I am a successful woman who is finding it difficult to identify the right guy, what are some of the qualities that you think that these men and women look out for in the men that or the women that they hope to settle with? What are the qualities?
Intent. I mean, to begin with, in any other thing, in business dealings, in social dealings, a person's word must be his or her bond.
Okay.
A person's word. I won't take Paula seriously if over time you've proven yourself not to be trustworthy. When you give a word that may your way, you don't do it. If you've proven over time that, oh, you shower her 7 o'clock, you've never kept to anything you say, I'll eventually take you very lightly. I'll not take anything you say seriously.
Successful people, they don't like excuses.
You know,
like
so,
they don't like excuses because even at work they don't want
so
that.
one thing is, look out for a person whose word is his or her bond.
All right.
When you start on that premise, you know that this person is one to be taken seriously, and if your word is your bond, you have honor as well.
Okay.
You know, they say death before dishonor among the Japanese yakuza. For you to embarrass them, they rather take their life.
Yeah.
So anyone whose word is his bond is also an honorable person and is someone who would not like to be embarrassed or be dishonored. And so that is a very good premise to assess a person on.
All right. All right. So Amma, let me create this scenario. You're a young woman, maybe after national service, you got a job, you're working, you're trying to make ends meet, and you meet this man. He got all the money to take care of you and your 4th to 6th generation. Like, he's dusted. And he comes to you with, okay, right now, you know, you working, maybe they'll pay you 1,500. You are my wife, you deserve something better. So maybe you can come stay at home, just maybe put your career on hold for the children and all that. Would you say you should go ahead with something like that, or you should only go in to be with a successful man who is willing to support your career? Because in most cases, these women become like housewives and then, you know, they get to take care of the kids. But then you face reality when you break the marriage, when there's divorce, and then you are thinking, I put my life on hold, I could have been better, but then now I'm back to square one. Forget about the money you get through divorce and stuff like that. So what would your advice be to our women?
Okay, so some women find, fulfillment in motherhood. Some too, their fulfillment is in working hard, achieving that goal, maybe setting up that business and all that. So if your fulfillment, you find that in your children, in, you know, keeping a home, having that perfect home, if that is what makes you happy,
Yeah. I
think life is all about doing what makes you happy. It's not all about money. We have made life, it's like we came on this earth to make money and go. If you don't make money, it's like you didn't achieve anything. No. If what makes you happy, what puts your soul at rest, is waking up and seeing that your children are good, your husband is good. And don't get me wrong, you can do all this and still be working or be successful. But if your ultimate goal in life is, okay, I have this business or I'm working, but when I see my children okay, when I make breakfast for my children, I know what my children eat, when my husband comes home and I welcome him, that is what makes me happy, aside all that I've been able to do for myself in terms of work, then please do that.
Right.
Do that. But if what makes you happy, what fulfills you as a person is to be able to work and get there, then you shouldn't let marriage stop that, because then you will not be happy. He can give you all the money, he can pay you 3 times what you were earning and tell you to stay at home. But you will be sad, you'll be depressed, you might even be suicidal, you might end up not loving the children that you have. So if I think you should find your purpose, what drives you, and don't let marriage or relationship come in between. These things are supposed to spice up our lives. Your partner is supposed to spice up your life, and so he shouldn't come in and make you give up the things that make you happy. No. So if it's work that's it for you, you can work a way out. Don't just rudely come out. Don't just say, I'm not doing that. No, try and be respectful, because he's your head.
Okay.
Men, they are head. Take it or leave it. When a man is in your life, he adds up to it. He gives you that authoritative figure, yeah, that, so to say. I mean, having someone to call, hey, honey, I had a flat tire. He's not your mechanical. But you just calling him and telling, okay, baby, where are you? Okay, have you called the mechanic? You say yes. You have called the mechanical, but you're still calling your husband.
Someone upset you and like, wait till I tell my husband. Like,
So they are ahead. They are ahead. A good man, honey, will make you blossom. So let's not try to you shouldn't really like disrespect them. But in this case, if he's asking you to quit your job and work is what does it for you, try and talk it out with him.
All right.
And then reach a consensus.
Mistake, you stated that you don't mind dating a woman who's got all the money. So what if she comes in with this offer? Okay, Mistake, I earn more, like I have a well-paying job. We have kids. Quit being the managing editor of Black Pepper. Come to the house and take care of the kids. Everything is sorted out for you. Would you accept that offer?
Well, already I'm operating from home, so I'm at home already. I'm operating from home already, and I actually am not the type who takes delight in waking at 4 a.m., reporting to work at, leaving home at 5:30, getting to work at 8:30, closing at 8 p.m., getting home at 10 p.m. I've done that.
The 9 to 5 is not for you.
I've done that for nearly 10 years.
It's not your thing.
I did that, and I found that there's more to life, and that's how come now I'm at home, and it's still the same content, the same writing that others were paying me for that I'm doing.
Okay.
And I find pleasure. I have time. My sister gave birth, and that's our first child. Now I'm an uncle.
Are you sure it's your sister?
Yeah, my sister, and now I'm an uncle.
Hey, Amma, why are you asking? Are you sure it's your sister?
My sister is, she's been posted to the regions, and I'm helping raise the child with my old lady. And I find, I've come to find life, that there are dimensions to life. Yeah. There are experiences that I experienced with this child. I'm like, whoa. And I can say now that I'm more than ready. I've been gone through the school to also bear my own child now. Okay. Because I've slept, I feed at dawn, I change nappies, and I'm like, this is cool. I've got this.
Well done.
That's how I got this. So if I find a partner who is reasonable and is wealthy, and you can reason with her, and there's balance, because once she is wealthy and she is generous, it doesn't mean you take her for a ride. You would also have to balance it, with the other needs of the house. If she goes to executive meeting and comes home very late, and I can cook, why don't I prepare a meal?
Remember you said you can cook.
Yeah, why can't I prepare a meal, make sure her beverage is ready,
breakfast,
handle the other things. If there's a garden at home, make sure it's taken care of. If you can attend to her music selection, music that she likes, you can do the selection for her.
You really know
so that when she comes, she can groove to music, and I'm a masseuse as well, and give her some massage.
Are you available?
Mistake. I know my viewers want your contact to get, but then we'll take a quick break here. When we come back, Monster and Cuddles continue. You're welcome back to Monster and Cuddles on GhanaWeb TV. I am Paula Amabruni. Now, Ama, I just want to find out too. If you get all the money, you are rich and wealthy, everybody knows that, okay, where their cash is shown, and you meet a man, should you declare all your assets to him? And I said, there are certain things that you should hold back. Because I've heard stories that, buy and I just say, eliminate you, then they take over everything. So how can you tread cautiously?
I think you don't, of course, you don't declare all your assets. Our politicians do they declare?
We won't declare. Now,
look at they are legally bound.
They don't.
So please don't, including even if you have children or anything. Baby steps, baby steps. Because the moment you have reached a certain level of success, there are lots of perceptions around you, and even sometimes the man has money, but he still wants yours. He wants yours, you know, because he finds you gullible. At that stage, he thinks that he can sweet talk you into signing some checks, into giving him some properties of yours. So don't declare more. In fact, if it's a house you're living in, just let him know that this is all that you have. Or even cry, you partly own it or something. Sometimes you got to lie to protect yourself. And then you see how it goes. But no.
But wait till you are faced with the question of, wait, so you didn't trust me? What were you taking me for? Why are you holding back?
I didn't trust you.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that simple?
Yes, I'll tell you. I didn't trust you. But now I do. So I'm telling you I have an offshore account. Now I do. So I'm telling you that I have 5 houses. Now I do. That I'm telling you that this estate company that you hear of, it's mine. I didn't trust you by then, but now I have reason to trust you. And if that hurts you or that makes you not trust me, then you can go.
You can go.
Yeah, but I can't just meet you and within a few months trust you.
So how many years should it take you?
You can't quantify the time, but you would know. You would know. You will have that feeling. No cry, no jakakra we
kakra. Sakakra.
Obe who say, hey, say, Janisa, you know, because money is powerful. Let's not pretend money has power. And sometimes money can make you do things that genuinely you wouldn't have done. Maybe the man is not that bad, but Charlie, seeing that you are worth, let's say, $500 million, it's human nature. And so he might tell some lies, be to get $1, $2, $3, $5 million, be, you know, but if you are only more, I could do said you out here. Exactly.
All right. Mistakes. So the $1 million question to you and Ama. Ope a debi and I say a bendada. Moving forward, finding a partner because Obianis and DT and how they move around.
A straight jacket question. A straight jacket question. A elicit straight jacket answer. You know, debi you know, you levels.
Okay.
No level ben na debi you know, what's to say? Debi and say minika minifie. But me siesie me ho me pakadia that chebet me amame that earning power that I can earn a decent sum. Inti mini sayamani say kra no at least me on single room, you know.
I'm working,
I'm schooling. You know, me schooling so me age my kra, you know, so that in about 5 years time I can be solid and have something decent. And now they be and say me akwadro nim pejuma me soya me sanche me dem frame and I say they be no o ye ne sa emwa into obi a obon hu modern enso enya me e de enya me about me hu say ye bibi sijaso.
Okay.
Bibi sijaso into say sa de be ye dia etumi de adwuma onim say me so me de me ma ho den eta ho a at least within some reasonable period no you bet me pija you be no be pija na I say ekatete na nanom even say compound house. People lived in compound houses and still thrived. They started out in compound houses in Mamprobi, Danrai, Soko, Dansoman. Emma omuka omuhubo no afi de eye kakra no omuma eco school eco university level e free hoko ye
na say you taste
na make can say abin wa han so ye abin wa ha ye abin wa ha na ye say nipa no na abin wa ha no say oyete asefo a oye reasonable a me fa no but say me ko share de bebe ye no so born ho model we oba obon ho model a say na making a manfo free a compound house ekoto asase e wa blekon ko hwa blekuma A man for a free compound house is baby na. Say no so you me ayo.
Okay.
But say I been lafia. Now we are tiase for so and so yeah.
And also yeah. I'm how you say to that. I same way dear.
It's always the best thing.
Hey, daddy, look my girls. I'm still girls.
When the money comes, you become all of a sudden not his type of woman.
Charlie,
you know that thing hurts like it hurts because sometimes. Sometimes no, you can.
It's better to cry in a bed.
Just give me a handshake. You know, because I mean, some of the men, like he's saying, yes, the baby, you can see all the signs.
Yeah.
In fact, Ubetime also about the president to cry. I mean, if you have that,
yes,
if you have that sense of, you can't say cry. If you can sense that, you can see that this man can really become someone good. But where do you see yourself in that picture? In him as a president, that picture, do you see yourself standing by him
as the first
lady beside him? Don't we have a very clear example of a man now sidelining his first wife, and the second wife is the one standing by him? He's a very big public figure. They try to cover the first one. They try to say that she is the first. But I mean, those of us that know
if you know, you know.
The one that suffered is being asked to stay back. That really hurts. So, I mean, if it's a question of this or that, please make your money before you can, because I'm expensive to maintain.
Thank you, my love. And it's good. A woman, you decide what you want. And see, if a woman says she wants this, it's not because she's a gold digger. Some people say you're a gold digger, but they don't even have any mind.
Gold. So have the
like,
gold.
What is your mind that I'm going to become a gold digger?
She's a gold digger. So make sure you have the gold before you come. Because you're they give what they give. Just have the gold and come. If you don't want the gold diggers, go. Those who want to dig sand are there.
Okay.
It's simple as that. That's all period.
But Mystic, why are men intimidated by women who are outspoken? Like, you know, she knows what she's about. I'm not going to let you boss me around. Those people who they say they are successful, that's one of their traits.
If you're not self-assured, every other person threatens you. It's not just even only for man and woman relationship. In life itself, if you're not self-assured in your abilities, in your skill set, in yourself, that means no any other thing irritates you and threatens you, even at workplaces. When I won't trust it, that's will be bold, articulate, and self-assured. No, there's a way of first way and yes, of first way why some ubit me my show working. Show working. And ya no. And you can and top on show working. And here I say footballer is our field. Now it comes to crunch time. We see those who are exceptional, even though they are footballers. But it comes to crunch time, and I say Salah, Egypt. Penalty.
I read who said the train.
Most Salah last hour. The next round. Most Salah scored. If he had missed, it would have been disastrous for him. But he was self-assured. He waited, and then the coach said, "Couple, train. Last one. Okay. Now, Salah say, "Ensuro and Kasana."
And Kasa.
I'm a boy. I do this. Salah. Oh, hey, brah. Egypt cleared out Ivory Coast. Easy peasy. Oh, if you meet a woman who is self-assured, independent, believes in herself, she's vivacious, she's outgoing, she loves life. I mean, why should I be so threatened
by her
and afraid? Why should I be? I should be able to partner such a person, because with her we'll go the extra mile. With Obisano, she's wealthy, she's educated, she's skilled. She said someone who combines both elements, both the Western education, but still retains her traditional heritage.
All right.
I mean, so
if you're a man and maybe you're just earning like 2K, you should be bold enough and approach a woman who is a CEO of a multi-million dollar.
Now I'm off when in restaurants near you now. I'm going to cook a human. You can say a day. I'm going to pay bigger fishes.
Okay.
I'm going to pay bigger fishes.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. Go to places where you meet. Oh, say, oh no, go to places where you can meet them.
That reminds me. Prophet Makai, one time, if so for be catching me, so my ladies here, I am on royal or the royal fiesta. Go and buy coke and sit and cook. You meet somebody there. That's a man of God.
Yeah, funny say, what you say, no, wow, you say, now, but you want to change the circumstance of the family. And yeah, British Council kakra mingle. Oh, yeah, no, so go to places ordinarily out of your reach, but go there because there are programs there. So take note, check it online, check it. There's a seminar, symposium there, but it brings people of all shades. It brings people of all shades.
All right, Amma, is that true?
I don't know what he's talking
about. Oh please!
I have no idea.
Oh please! All right, but that's mistakes to say. You shouldn't be intimidated by the woman's status and all that. Yeah. But as a woman, at a point in time, should you lower your standard because maybe you feel like you've gotten to that height and then the men are not coming? Let's just say maybe you've been unsuccessful. The ones that come, they just come in for the money. Lots of people say, oh yeah, brown. Do you ascribe to that? And even if you think we should do it, how should you do it without losing yourself?
The attitude, the problem in question is...
Mr. Kempis,
the problem, if it's your attitude, as in your pride, as for that one, you work on it not only for the man, but for yourself.
For yourself.
So I know Sano dear, just show you need say and so but sometimes so maybe so but you have to do that because like I said, the men, they are heads, and every man, if you have a son, you know when they get a certain age, or they can sign away your own child. Now he wants to, you know, rub shoulders with you. So it is divine. Men are made, or they are created to be the heads. And he as the head leader, there are certain demands. But if the other thing that she had to let go is it's not attitude now, but I had a friend who met a guy, and the guy told her Kumasi to Accra on Jai flight for non for bus. We still scheduled Kumasi to Accra, they on for bus. On Jai sell lunch, or did you restaurant 200 cities, 300 cities. On kind of lifestyle is extravagant. On Jai me aboarding the top. Rather, and no sika. But he thinks, but the guy was coming from a good place. He was coming in a way, he said, trying to tell her to cut down, save money for herself. But can you do that? Let's say that, let me use cosmetic as an example. You now use a makeup brand that costs you 1,500. Okay, this guy is trying to tell you that cut down on it and go back to 200 cities, 100 cities. But you have been there, and now you think, say, with the money you have, you can afford those things, and it makes you feel good about yourself. This is something that if it's difficult for you to let go, then maybe the man has to go. Because if I'm not asking you to do those things for me, and you're not telling me to start taking a woman for a bus, and I feel, say, I've taken Kumasi, Accra, bus, now I can fly. Or I can have someone drive me in my car, and you are trying to tell me to cut down those things. Then it means I'm going back to when I was struggling. But we are all praying to move ahead in life. So I know why then, Sika, you better have to just keep quiet and let the woman,
live a life.
Exactly. But try and dialogue it out, respectfully. Yeah, but if he's not going to have it, then I think do what makes you happy.
But final question, if you're a successful man, woman, who finally found a man who is up to your standard or whatever it is, what must you do in order to keep them? Like in order to make them feel okay? Because at the end of the day, people claim that you are unsuccessful and all that. Are certain traits there that we should drop? Are other things there that we should focus? Because we see what is going. We've heard stories. We've seen people's experience. So what would your advice be finally?
Having landed the partner, how to keep the partner?
Yes, please.
Well,
in exception of those who don't want to be kept. So they but just tips like education.
Well, I think love is the trigger. Love is the engine that attracts, the elements. But beyond the love, respect is key. Respect is key, because you go to certain homes and you see that there's a lack of respect. And you yourself, you are left confounded and wondering what's happening here. But you go to certain homes too, you see how the woman relates to the man, you see how the man relates to the woman, and you're like, this is desirous. I would want to have this if I start my family. So much respect, so much, respect amongst them or between them. And how you address each other also informs the worldview of your children, how they see you interacting. So when your children see you, the man, their mom, how you treat her, how you address her, and then the woman, to how you adore your man in front of the children, like, wow. Even your daughters and your sons from there,
take a cue.
They say, I want to have what my mama and my daddy has. And so for me, love, yes, that's the thing that tugs at our hearts. You see someone, you're like, God damn, man, woo. You see it and you're like, God, I need this in my life.
Yeah.
So beyond that, how you call, hello, I'm busy, but I'll call you later, please. If you call someone, you don't get them, the feedback you get. And when they say they'll call you back, they call you back. When you offer suggestions, they take it seriously. They don't popo your thoughts or your contribution. They take it, they incorporate it in things, and you see your suggestion manifesting. And you're like, whoa, this big woman, this rich woman, I suggested this and she took it because it's sound. It's sound because
okay.
So these are a few things. And then another thing I would say is compromise. We might be set in our ways, but then our ability to compromise for the greater good is a trait to have.
All right.
You might be set in your ways. That, as for me, Paula dear, Sunday dear, me Sunday mako church abreno, nyafina mabeka fufu tintim. That's you from your beginning. Now I just say, oh, Sunday nya dear obe fufu but you meet a partner who doesn't love you to count the fufu, but so one tintim mano. But there's a trade-off. Oh yes, no, or no so ye baby mount. That's a trade-off. That's a compromise.
All right.
So you have given up your Sunday and doing the thing, but he also does something that you also love very much, and then it makes it bearable. The relationship can become very tedious, but then how do we make it bearable for each other? And if we do that, you see that there's always some spark, lingering on, and that's what we all crave for.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ama. So what would your advice be finally? When you finally found that person, but they are not on your level?
I think the moment you allow someone in your space, there are so many things in your life that will never be the same. Yes.
Really?
It's never going to be
the
same. He was brought up differently, different life experience, different growing up environment. So yes, so many things will not be the same. But as you agree to live together, like you were saying, compromise, you can now begin to adjust. Yes, it's difficult. Maybe he or she snores. You can, with time, find a solution to that. But she hasn't done yet. There's another route. That's also a solution, Some of the things.
But wait, Emma, when you want some D, what do you do? Okay, it's that simple.
You go take it and then
come back and sleep.
You've tried everything medically and the snoring is not working. Maybe it's in his blood, in his genes. You can't do anything. So many things you will compromise, but as you are living together, it becomes your norm. You know, maybe like men, for example, they just leave their clothes anywhere, and maybe you're that type that when you see a messy room, Charlie, it gets you upset. But after seeing it, yeah, you know, hey, Kojo, now you don't say it anymore. You just pick it up and then put it at the right place. So many things. And I think those are the things that spice up the relationship. I mean, if he or she is the same as you are, then nothing has really changed. Something must change in your life. There must be some sort of discomfort. And then as you try to make it comfortable, it then becomes part of your life. Right. That is when you feel like it's another presence in your life.
It's true.
And so, yes, it's definitely, you might have to adjust to certain things. And then the things that you feel like are unchangeable and you cannot really cope with, I don't know, but let's say, for example, if he's like a womanizer or something of that sort, and you know, that's really bad, and you try everything and he's still a womanizer and you know you can't live with him, that one, dear,
you have to let go.
But certain things that has to do with way of life, you know, living in the house, how he even talks, how he walks, how he dresses. You know, you teach him, he also teaches you certain things that you might not be good at. And then it becomes a happy home.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much, Amma Krampa. But just on the part of men who don't know how to keep their stuff tidy, leave things all around, I always tell the ladies, just assume that your husband is your first child, like a kid. So you know what your kid will do. It will not really upset you. With that, it will not really get to you. Time now to uncover what's in the mystery box. So this is the rules of the game. We've got some questions here. When you pick, you hand it over to me, I'll read it, and you give me your honest answer. Let's like, no libi, no laba. And if you get to pick the blank sheet, then you get to ask me a question.
Okay.
We're good?
All right, we're good.
Fair play only. Mistake. Okay. Thank you. Can you forgive a cheating partner?
That's a hard one. I don't reckon. I don't reckon that I can.
Okay. So it's a no for you. Once I find you cheating.
Once, you see, if you are a cheat, be very good at it so that I don't find out.
Okay.
But once I get to find out, then it's my decision to make now. And that decision will be that if anybody can bed you, then why would I keep you as my valuable, you know, partner? Because men derive joy from their women. That's my lady. That's my lady. And if my lady is being bedded all around the neighborhood, then where's the pride? Where's the joy?
So what if the cheating didn't entail her sleeping, but you know?
What else could the cheating be involved with? Okay. If it's not bedded.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. You can pass it to Amma, so Amma gets to pick her.
Do I get a pick?
Yeah, babe. Oh, no.
All right.
Thank you. The mystery box is back. We'll keep it right here.
Fingers crossed.
I always felt it was an empty sheet.
It's empty.
That's not empty. I've got a question on it.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. This one is a big one.
Okay.
Big or small dick?
Oh, my God.
Big.
My goodness.
How you want it?
I can't answer this. My children are going to see.
My goodness.
Okay, so who pardon Amma? Mistake. She will have to take.
You want another one?
We will pardon you.
I can't.
I know what you want, but what you like. I know what you like.
Hey, how do you know?
Oh, come on now.
You're from I'll let you answer.
Seriously, how can you answer that?
Okay, so this one is quite easy. Playboy or church boy?
None.
I'm in peril.
None boys say. Church boys will say.
It's open the mixture of everything.
It's too extreme for her. Too
Exactly.
extreme, yeah.
I mean, you have to be a little experienced. Playboy should be he's overly experienced. That one is just too much. Church boys should be not just probably even a virgin. No.
So virgins then you are
Yeah.
No, I can't do it.
There's too much endowment for a virgin.
There's a lot for him to use, and if he doesn't know what to do with what, I mean, like
Too much endowment for a virgin. Yeah.
You know, there's too much too.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to say.
I'm wants a mixture of everything, but Playboy there is not your thing.
No, please, I don't want. I'm very fragile.
All right, sure.
Break my heart.
And to you, our viewer who did the watching today, we just want to say a big thank you to you. As I told you, this year our mantra is positive vibes only. Yes. So we're just going to find ways to spice up our relationship, and if you think it's not working for you, you decide what you want to do. But to our successful men and women out there, our guest Mystic and Amma have detailed how you get to find who is right for you, and the advice when you find a man or a woman who is not up to your level, how to deal with it in order not for them to feel intimidated by your worth and all that, because we all deserve love. But when you find someone who is not for you, just accept it's just part of life and move on with your life. My name is Paula Amabroni. Remember that the show was proudly sponsored by Cheesy Pizza, your way. We'll be back with the next episode of Monsen Cuddles. Thanks for watching.
Ningo pram rashe bedwani honorable Sam George and odinsin fo bi ababeto dwa e won Twitter page so no the video bi aka wan hu se Ghana man pini na na dan kwakufu ado ogine mu pan sata no de no ye campaign sata no nyambe ye man pini ana o ka se anko no de nko nim se $1 to 1 cedi into akwa se former president John Evans Atamels and afi John Mahama omo mere so de $1 2 Ghana cedis and no o twem se ono eno nti no person ba be ye man pini se ne be ye oba be no say 1 cedi $1 1 cedi $1 then you can na Sam George twem say obi ana wo twem say o baba be se ne ba ni say ne de cedi no depreciate ana che say depreciate anesa and o be join say you are worried o twem ma ye to wa ba ma say bana be kuji cedi ana say ye to wa ba ma say bana be emotional and you to say de da for ma o sre man peni twe na wo hwe video no so wo say Ghana man peni kufu ado na che say o twem man say ono any de ye pa say o de Baumia ebe ni vice president esan say ono ni say no nim kita wudi e wo sika fem pa nton de ba cedi no ade on ba arrest no prekope eno na Sam George twem say ni nyina mobile mo ntumi am me arrest ni we no de cheers eto any post so ne ba no manfo asri ye pa mo so mo be kan bi
It's yet another Friday, and I've come your way once again with another edition of BizTech on GhanaWeb TV. As usual, on BizTech, we serve you some stories that made headlines in the week and an interview a member of the business desk had with an expert. I am Ernestina Sewa Asante. On today's edition, we take a look into Ghana's extractive sector, and our business reporter Mauli Aholmega had an engagement with two experts in the sector because this particular sector generates substantial revenue for the country and it also helps boost the local economy. Here is the full report.
The extractive industry is one that has not been spared from the coronavirus pandemic. From job cuts to production losses, the sector has received its fair share of effects from the pandemic. But how is the sector improving in the midst of the global pandemic? On this edition of BizTech, I'll be speaking with some experts, specifically from the Goldfields Limited, which is the Group Chief Executive of Goldfields, Mr. Chris Griffith, and also the Head of Global West Africa for Goldfields, Mr. Joshua Mototi. And we'll be picking their thoughts on the extractive sector and also the recent explosion that occurred in Rprt. Mr. Chris, welcome to Ghana House. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thanks. Great to be in Ghana.
Yeah, great. So I just wanted to get your take on the extractive sector. What do you make of Ghana's extractive sector, and what's the role of Goldfields playing in that?
I think Ghana is a very attractive place for mining companies to be in, particularly gold mining companies, and so that's why Ghana is an important country for us. For Goldfields, Ghana makes up 35% of the volume that we mine, and so a very important part of our business is Ghana. It's an attractive country for us to be, and with stable politics, stable environment, stable laws, and that has meant that it's an attractive destination for us, and that's why we've been here for almost 30 years. And that's why we continue to see Ghana as an attractive investment destination.
So obviously COVID has had to do some disruptions to the sector and all of that. And I understand you're not able to retrench some workers in the sector. In terms of moving forward, in terms of this uncertainty in the mining extractive sector, what do you think we could do to make sure that jobs are stable for workers?
Yeah, so I think of course COVID has had a major impact on industry right across the world, and the mining industry has been no exception. We have had some impact from COVID in terms of production, particularly in the early phases in 2020. In 2021 we had much less disruption. I think most of our disruption was in South Africa and in Peru and South America. Some of our other operations, for example, in Chile, where we're building a new project, but we haven't had that much volume disruption here in Ghana, and we've been able to manage through the entire COVID period, actually with relatively little disruption across the company. Of course, it has cost the company in terms of investing to make the company safe, to make our employees safe. We've encouraged vaccination across our workforce globally. Globally, we now over 90% first vaccination, more than 80% second vaccination right across our workforces globally, and our workforce here in Ghana is rapidly catching up with that. So, I think we've invested for that. We've invested alongside government to help minimize the impact of COVID, but we haven't retrenched one employee right across our global operations, including here in Ghana. And I think the answer around COVID is we've just got to get on with it. We've got to be flexible to whatever COVID throws at us. But at the moment, we're not holding back because of COVID. We continue to invest, we continue to mine, and COVID actually hasn't, other than our ability to move around the world, hasn't really impacted our business that much.
Yeah. So finally, just your take on the Rprt explosion that occurred. I know you offered some sympathy, but in terms of lessons that we can learn from that explosion, just give me your take on that.
Yeah, this has been a tragic incident for of course, our mining family here in Ghana. It's a tragic incident right across the globe, because everyone's now going to be looking right across the globe, as we should, what learnings we can take. How do we make sure that the transportation of explosives is safe? Generally, both here in Ghana and across the globe, the regulations that are associated with the transport, the storage and the handling of explosives is actually very good. Now, we know that out of this will come learnings, and we are anxiously awaiting to see what those learnings would be. At this point in time, it's premature to know what those will be. We are not impacted at the moment. Our explosive transporter is a different company. So we're not impacted at the moment, but of course we are working collaboratively together with the regulators, and we're working collaboratively with the other mining companies to provide support to the community and to the mining industry in South Africa, in Ghana. But it is just too premature at the moment, because we don't know what the outcomes are going to be. And then, but once we know that, we of course are going to work collaboratively to see how we can improve our regulation, improve our systems and our processes to make sure something like this cannot happen again.
Mr. Chris, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
So that has been Mr. Chris Griffith, and he's the Chief Executive Officer of Goldfields Limited, and he's been sharing his thoughts with me on the extractive sector and some lessons learned in the sector. Mr. Matoti, many thanks for having us. So what's your take on the Rprt Explosion, and what do you think we can learn from this?
It's an unfortunate accident, and my thoughts and prayers are with the community. It's an incident that has shaken all of us, and our posture to it is to learn as much as possible from the investigation and see what else we can do better to improve. But beyond that, first is how we can alleviate the situation for the villagers. What we have done as Goldfields is actually one of the very first responders to the incident is to provide tents, mattresses, food, water to offer immediate relief. But beyond that, we're working through government and the ministry and the chamber on how we can provide long-term, if you like, rebuild for the people of Rprt. I must say that our thoughts and prayers are with them. Families have been impacted, and we can only pray and hope that this never happens again. We will do everything we need in our power as an industry for this to never happen again.
So quickly, just in terms of gold output, what are your expectations Goldfields for this year?
We're expecting to produce around what we produced last year for the 3 operations that we're talking about. Between 700 and 800,000 ounces total is what we're targeting for this year.
And finally, the Ghana Chamber of Mines had come out with a report stating that some companies have been underreporting their production value. What's your take on that, and what's Goldfields' position on that?
I don't think it's the Ghana Chamber of Mines. I understand it's a different organization that is alleging that there is underreporting of gold produce. I do not know the veracity of the report, and I can't really speak for it. But what I can say, as a listed company, Goldfields does not underreport its production. We don't do that, and we just don't underreport. We actually subscribe to organizations that talk about publishing what you pay. We subscribe to that through the chamber, and on our websites and everything we do in our communications to people who invest in us, we transparently tell them what we produce, and to government we do exactly the same.
Thank you so many. Thanks for
Pleasure. Pleasure.
There you have it. I've been speaking with the Group Chief Executive of Goldfields Limited, which is Mr. Chris Griffith, and also the Head of Global West Africa for Goldfields, which is Mr. Joshua Mototi, and they've been sharing their thoughts with me on the extractive sector and also the recent explosion that occurred in Rprt. This has been this week's edition of BizTech on GhanaWeb TV. My name is Maoli Aholumega. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Maoli Aholumega, for that report. Up next is Biz Headlines. To our very first story on the cedi depreciation, the Ghana cedi, according to a 15-nation ranking, has now been ranked as the worst performing currency in Africa within just 2 months into 2022. According to reports, the development is due to the cedi's depreciation of about 7.60% to major trading currency, US dollar, from 1st January to 25th January. This also means the cedi's current struggles against the US dollar have overtaken the Zambian kwacha, which was some 2 weeks ago, ranked the worst performing currency in Africa, according to the same ranking. Already, Ghana and Zambia are facing economic challenges due to increasing public debts, expenditure management, and revenue generation constraints. In addition, Ghana's exchange rate regime, coupled with inflation and possible interest rate hikes, is set to place more burden on government. On the international capital markets, investors have signaled uncertainty about Ghana's economic outlook and prospects. Key rating agencies such as Moody's Investor Services and Fitch Ratings have all downgraded Ghana's credit worthiness. Now to fuel prices, COPEC has projected another increment in fuel prices before the end of March this year. According to the Executive Secretary of the Chamber, Duncan Amoah, the free fall of the local currency, cedi, is a contributing factor to the increase in petroleum products on the market. He further indicated that crude oil and other petroleum products on the international market will continue to surge because of Russia's invasion of Ukraine in the past few weeks. Currently, fuel prices are selling at 8 cedis 29 pesos per litre at some pumps across the country. Petrol and diesel were previously sold at 7 cedis 99 pesos. The Public Interest Accountability Committee, PIAC, has said Ghana earned an amount of $6.55 billion from petroleum receipts between 2011 to 2020. This, according to PIAC's 10-year assessment report, represents 9.97% of 2020 GDP, with the generation comprising both entitlements due to the contracting parties and the Ghana Group. The achieved selling prices of Ghana's group crude entitlement was closely aligned to traded Brent prices, reflecting a continuous and commendable effort to generate value for the country. The Ghana Group has earned $6.55 billion in total petroleum receipts between 2011 and 2020, equivalent to 9.97% of 2020 GDP. Key finding from PIAC's report read. In addition, PIAC said an amount of $31.22 billion in value has been generated from 3 producing oil fields in Ghana between 2011 and 2022. Regarding the breakdown of petroleum receipts by fiscal instruments, PIAC said it discovered that carried and participating interest, the CAPI, has by far generated the highest share for Ghana, accounting for 58% or $3.81 billion of the total $6.55 billion revenue earned. World Bank Country Director Pierre Laporte has disclosed that an amount of 28 million cedis in grants has been pumped into 400 small and medium enterprises in Ghana to help them recover from the shocks of the global coronavirus pandemic. The grant was disbursed to these beneficiaries between November 2021 to January this year by the Ghana Enterprises Agency. Mr. Pierre Laporte, while speaking at the 7th IFEJ Flamingo Awards for Business and Financial Journalism in Accra on Friday, noted that the World Bank is available to assist these SMEs technically to improve their productivity. This, he explained, will assist these SMEs to create more jobs and give employment opportunities to the teeming unemployed youth in the country. Commissioner of Insurance at the National Insurance Commission, Dr. Justice Ofori, has disclosed that the country's coverage of insurance as of December 31st, 2020 stood at 44.6%. This, according to him, represents nearly 50% of the working population in Ghana that have one form of insurance cover or the other. Speaking at the launch of a training program of prisons officers and recruits on the basic principles of insurance and risk management, Dr. Justice Ofori said, "I am delighted to disclose that following these efforts, the number of working Ghanaians who have one form of insurance or the other stands at 44.6%. as of the end of 2020. This is a phenomenal increase of 14.6% over the 2019 figure. The NIC's objectives and functions per sections 2 and 3 of the Insurance Act 2021 Act 1061 include supporting and encouraging financial inclusion, promoting public awareness, and undertaking public education on insurance. This launch for prisons, cadet officers, and recruits is therefore a priority to the Commission. Touching further on the training exercise, which was in collaboration with the Ghana Prison Service, the Insurance Commissioner said the exercise will focus on basic principles of insurance, as well as highlights of various lines of insurance that will allow them to benefit. To our final story for the day, it is emerging that Ghana and 3 other countries are all candidates for loan programs from the International Monetary Fund, IMF. News magazine The Economist, in its February 26th edition, indicated that the aftershocks of the COVID-19 pandemic were still having a toll on global economies. It observed that 2 years of pandemic fighting and on-off lockdowns have turbocharged global debts, both public and private. The magazine observed that central banks of various countries have raised interest rates to combat inflation. The cost of servicing has also gone up, raising demand for the IMF's assistance. That's all for today, and thank you for watching BizTech, which airs every Fridays on GhanaWeb TV. You can log on to www.ghanaweb.com for more stories. Do well to follow us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the GhanaWeb. On YouTube, GhanaWeb TV. I am Ernestina Sewa Asante. Do have a blessed weekend.